and then people dance with it. You know, I'm not a dancer, so I'm not going to do this type of thing, you know. I'm just gonna leave those to the other guys. And then, you know, you see the people like throwing it like that, you know. Well, he's doing that. So it's like two things happening at once. Hey everyone, this is Jason Wang here. I'm with my father, David. We're from Xi'an Famous Foods. And today we're gonna show you how to make our longevity noodles with our concubine chicken. It's actually one of our recipes from our new cookbook, which I got right here. So to make any noodles, you need some sort of flour. So we have our wheat flour to start the process. Just take the wheat flour and we put it into a mixing bowl. We're gonna add a little bit of salt.
为了使它更筋道
It helps with the texture of the noodles, so it's a little more bouncy and makes it easier to pull. And then we're gonna add in some water, room temperature water, and start mixing. Of course, you could use a mixer for this, but you know, we like to do small amounts with hand. It's much easier. And then when you're adding the water, you add it slowly, slightly, not all at once, but this helps the water kind of hit all the flour evenly, so it's not just globs of really wet spots and really dry spots. Ideally, you want the pieces to come together, starting out with small pieces, and then they'll start snowballing into a bigger piece and then the entire dough. Our longevity noodles is quite different from our biang-biang styled hand-ripped noodles. The similarity is that they're all made from wheat flour and they're all pulled. But the longevity noodles are gonna be more of a long, skinny noodle, stick-like. And right now, the dough is pretty much formed into one cohesive piece. So the dough has to be a certain right consistency, not too hard, not too soft. At the end, you want this to be the result. The dough should be relatively smooth and your hands should be relatively clean as well. We should let the dough rest for half an hour or more. You want the dough to rest enough so that it activates the gluten, so it becomes easier to form into the next shape of the dough that we need. So we're just gonna cover the dough and let it rest. Now our dough has rested enough, it's time to wake it up. We're gonna take the dough and we're gonna try to form it into kind of like a coil shape. Make it thin and long. Not the end result, but we're gonna make it to the point where it's going to be reminiscent of the shape that we're gonna have the noodles in. So we're gonna start working the dough, adding a little bit of vegetable oil to make it a little smoother and to prevent it from drying. We're trying to flatten it out a little bit. So we're gonna take the dough and we're gonna cut it into pieces to make those long sticks from. So we're gonna roll it like this to make it longer and skinnier. When we're making these sticks, they're gonna try to pull back a little bit, especially if they haven't rested for that long. The idea is like you're pushing down on it and you're also kind of keeping it from coming back. And you have to keep doing it because if you stop after doing it once, it'll start shrinking back a little bit and it might undo the work you already did. So we do that until it's about this thick, maybe the size of my pinky. It could be skinnier, it could also be thicker. The idea is if it's thicker, you're gonna have to do more work later when you pull the noodles. And this is a noodle that's pretty common in northwestern China, towards Central Asia as well. We call it 长寿面. It's also known as 棍棍面 in our region, which is stick noodles. 长寿面 means longevity noodles. And it's also known as 拉条子, which is, how would I translate 拉条子?
就是把它拉很长，像一个很长的
So
条
it's
子
like
一样。
a pulled long piece. It's kind of like how you would translate 拉条子. But 拉条子 is very particular to Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a province that has a large Uyghur population, and also the dish is also known as lagman over there. Lagman is actually a word that comes from, most likely from la mian, which is Chinese. So there's a lot of back and forth of culture. All in all, it's a dish that we all enjoy in that whole region. And being that Xi'an is part of northwestern China, we also enjoy this dish. Xi'an Famous Foods came about when my father decided to make the food of our hometown for other immigrants like himself, immigrants that miss the food, miss that taste. So his whole point of opening up Xi'an Famous Foods back in 2005 in Flushing, New York, was to share dishes that he loved. He knew it would be popular with those people like him that after a few years, it became more popular for everyone. We serve our hometown food, our takes of the dishes from Xi'an and from the surrounding regions. So as you can see here, the coil is being made. It's really just a way to organize the noodles and to make it manageable until we need it. And as you can see, he connected the pieces together. So the coil is a natural shape for that. And right now he's just covering it up with more vegetable oil to prevent it from drying, because you want that noodle to stay at a certain level of moisture until you're ready to pull. We're at this point, we have the dough in this coil. We can either pull it after about 5 to 10 minutes of resting, or if we don't need it right away, this is good to just have until you're ready to eat the dish. Just cover it with some clear wrap and put it inside the fridge until you're ready to use it. So we're gonna put these noodles aside just for now, we'll come back to it. So now we're gonna start preparing some of the vegetables that we're gonna use for cooking our chicken. This concubine chicken dish is actually a standalone dish, also recipe in our book. We like to use this dish with our noodles, whether it's our biang noodles or our longevity noodles. So with the chicken ready, we're cutting up the different vegetables. We have some bell peppers here, ginger garlic for the flavor. So the concubine chicken is called concubine chicken because there used to be a very famous concubine that was from the Xi'an, Chang'an, region. Her name is Yang Guifei, right? So she's like a very high-ranked concubine of the emperor back then, and she's known for enjoying her foods. It's a little bit of a historical reference as well. So right now we have the chicken, and we're just gonna put a little cooking wine, the Shaoxing cooking wine, in there, and a little soy sauce, a little bit of white pepper, and just use your hands to mix everything up. Make sure every piece of meat gets a little bit of everything.
腌上5到10分钟。
So the chicken's gonna stay in this marinade for 5 to 10 minutes. I would say just when you're cooking everything, just make sure that you're controlling the fire, it's not out of control, but you do want a hot burn so the flavor comes out of everything, all the aromatics, all the spices. Right now, for example, with the Xi'an sauce, which is a fermented bean sauce from Sichuan, very particular to that region. It's very fragrant, but you need to kind of wake up the spices a little bit. It's not something that you just take it out of the box and you could eat it. And once that's out, it's gonna create a really nice color for your dish and also bring out all the flavors into the dish. So for this one, the chicken goes in first, of course, and then followed by this aromatics and spices. And the spices go right into the oil in order to bring out all the flavor. Add in some soy sauce there. Rest of the cooking wine. For some of these peppers, bell peppers, longhorn peppers, the potatoes, and the red onions, they go in last. Really because, well, we do want their flavors, but they also cook relatively quickly, and if we keep them in there too long, they're gonna overcook and they're gonna lose the color. Presentation of the dish is not gonna be that great. Pretty much done. I'm gonna shut off the fire, and it's ready to serve either on its own, or you could wait until we're done with the noodles and then top this. So this is our dough that's after it's been rested. No, just kidding. It's actually a different piece of dough. It's much bigger. Obviously, this is for a very big family. This is not for a small family. And this could be used for different servings. Theoretically, you can have this whole piece of dough just in your fridge. It's good for a week or so as long as it's fresh. And you just take however much you want and then you tear it off after you're done, pull it and boil it. So, it's very easy to use. So our dough is ready, and we've got to make sure that our water is boiling hot. It has to be a very, strong boil. It can't just be simmering. And in terms of how big the pot has to be, it should be big enough that your serving and the noodles that you're cooking can comfortably kind of swim around in there. They won't all clump together. All right, so our water's boiling, our noodles are ready to pull, so we'll start. You take the end and you start and you start tugging it. You kind of make a cat's cradle of sorts with your fingers. Try to keep them in between different fingers so they don't get stuck together. And you're gonna run out of fingers, but you'll alternate and it'll be okay. Break it off where you want it to break. And pull it further out. The idea is to make it thinner. Drop it right into the pot. So longevity noodles is one long noodle. It's continuous. One serving is about 36 feet long. So it's pretty long. You know, if you think about it, it's like 2 feet. And then how many times did he wind it up? That was, let's say like 10 times, that's 20 feet. So like, easily. The longevity noodles are long, so they represent a long life. And a long life is very, well, it's actually something you want to wish for every occasion, whether it's a new year, whether it's a birthday, whether it's just gathering good wishes and good health to everyone. Our noodles are typically about 3 to 5 minutes. This one, since it's a little thicker than the biang biang noodles, they're gonna take about 5 minutes. We did our method before, but let us show you how to make this dish the la tiaozi style, the guanguanmian style. You could just drop it right into the pot by tugging it. Makes for a skinnier noodle. It's easier, it's faster, it's less theatrical. You want the noodles to be even as much as possible. So this gives you a chance to really control it. You're like looking at it and checking, is it even? If not, you tug on it more. If it's pretty even, it's pretty thin, then you just let it go on. All right, so we got all of our noodles in here, and we're just warming up the chicken. We're just gonna add some of our noodle sauce, which is mostly soy sauce and black rice vinegar, just for flavoring, seasoning. Just gotta make sure it's all nice and mixed up. Even if I don't live for a long time, I'll enjoy every moment that I live while eating these. The noodles, the chicken, everything being cooked to order, everything's especially fresh tasting. That's really the key to this dish.
Delicious.
The chicken is, very juicy and the flavors are very distinct. It's not all muddled together in like a mush, and the noodles are obviously very chewy. And it's like you're wrestling with the noodles, and that's part of the fun. Very dynamic dish. It's like it's alive. For the recipe, check out the link below, and it's also in our book. If you would like our meal kits shipped nationwide, check it out on our website, xi'ankids.com. Hope you enjoy.
Music.